24 years ago, 12 students and a teacher were murdered in the Columbine High School massacre, which was at the time the worst school shooting the country had ever experienced. What should have been a wake-up call to our country has sadly become something far more heartbreaking, a foreshadowing of a public health emergency from gun violence. Since Columbine, there have been 377 school shootings, and more than 349,000 students have experienced gun violence at school. Parents used to worry if their child might get bullied on the playground. Now they worry if their child will come home at all. Gun violence is now the leading cause of death for children in this country. Think about that. Guns kill more children than anything else. This must stop. We must meet the gun violence epidemic head on and ensure that our children are learning math and science, not active shooter defense. As Vice Chair of the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force, I will not stop fighting until we stop the scourge of gun violence around this country. Since I took office, I have signed on to co-sponsor Ethan's Law to require gun owners to safely and securely store their firearms, the Bipartisan Background Checks Act to enact common sense background check requirements, the assault weapons ban to get assault weapons off our streets, and the Closing the Bump Stop Loophole Act, along with legislation to create the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Every one of these bills will help us save countless lives, especially the lives of our children. While we reflect on the countless lives taken from us 24 years ago at Columbine and since, I implore my Republican colleagues to work with us and bring common sense gun safety legislation to a vote on the floor of the House. Ending gun violence in America must be a priority for this Congress. We owe it to our children, our families, and our communities.
Good evening, and thank you for joining me here on Think About It Thursdays with Conversations with Taz. Sorry, the light's a little weird. I've had light in the background, so a little spooky. But we're going to get through this. Let's get into the collective news updates, and then we'll go right into the Texas update.
It's Wednesday night, and here's what happened. The guy who shot Ralph Yarl for ringing his doorbell pled not guilty, paid a $200,000 bail in his back home. The guy who shot and killed Kaylin Gillis for turning around in his driveway will remain in jail until his trial. The guy who shot 2 high school cheerleaders who accidentally got in the back of his car has been charged with deadly conduct. He fled the scene at the time of the incident and was arrested at his home. And Joseph Eaton of Maine, who was just released from prison, admitted to killing his parents' friends, and shooting at 4 cars on the highway that he thought were police cars chasing him. He admitted to the crimes and will remain in jail. A new report shows an increase in carbon dioxide in the air is responsible for an uptick in...
Let's go over the 3 tragic events that have occurred this week. This is Ralph. He made the mistake of ringing the wrong doorbell. When going to pick up his younger siblings, he made a mistake on the address. Homeowner Andrew Lester saw Ralph and shot him not once, but twice. By miracle, Ralph was able to get up and go to the neighbors, who also didn't care to help. Even after all of this, Ralph has survived and he is at home recovering. Yesterday, the shooter actually went to authorities himself, but he was set free again after posting his $200,000 bail. This is Kaylin. She was in a car with a group of people who mistakenly went in the wrong driveway. As the group was leaving, the homeowner, Kevin Monahan, came out and allegedly shot twice at the car. And Kaylin had passed by the time first responders got to the vehicle. This is Peyton. She was shot after her cheer practice. 4 cheerleaders were in a parking lot. Beth got out of her friend's car and went into the car she thought was hers. When she saw it wasn't hers, there was someone in the passenger seat, she immediately got out. The man then came up to her window and she rolled it down to apologize, but it was too late. He was already shooting in. Roth herself was grazed by the bullet, but Peyton is in critical condition. The occurrences are so horrific, they are beyond my words.
Now, there's another update before I get into those individual updates, excuse me, that I think far too many people have forgotten about. There was a pregnant woman shot at a Walgreens. So here's the breakdown and here's the update.
This week, a woman who was 7 months pregnant was shot because the employee thought she was stealing cosmetics. She then had to have an emergency C-section, and she and the baby are still hospitalized. and the employee is claiming it was self-defense. So let's go through the series of events. The employee thought she was stealing cosmetics. She walked to the parking lot, and he followed her. And then allegedly, from his account, she pulled out mace once she opened her trunk and saw him and got scared, to which he started firing at her. Now, those events are alleged from the Walgreens employee who said she stole and also maced him once she saw him following her. I don't know when a pregnant woman stealing makeup excuses shooting her. I will update you guys as more information comes in.
How are you that afraid of mace? I have been carrying mace since a preteen. It's like a prerequisite in my family, I feel like. There were a couple times pre-COVID where I took a walk at night, helps me clear my head, just in my little neighborhood, walked up to the store and came back. I had my mace in my hand. It's funny now. And there was a woman, I wasn't even paying attention, completely on me. Don't ever do this. That there was somebody a few feet ahead of me. Well, when we got under the street light, she saw my shadow. I kind of got a glimpse of her shadow. And we both like stopped and turned to mace each other. I wasn't afraid. Plus, I wear glasses, so the damage to me was going to be minimal. But I wouldn't see somebody with mace, and my first inclination is my life is in danger. I need to shoot. It's mace. As many protests as I've been to, it's mace. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. It's a headache to get out your eyes, but it's mace. Now an update on the Ralph Yarl shooting.
This afternoon, 84-year-old Andrew Lester, the white man charged with the alleged unprovoked shooting of 16-year-old Ralph Yarl, who is black, going before a judge in Kansas City, Missouri, just hours after he was released on bond on 2 felony charges. He has pleaded not guilty.
The charges and the response by the legal community today is what should have happened last week.
Lester faces felony assault and criminal action charges, the prosecutor saying there was a racial component to this case.
We firmly believe that an investigation of race and hate as a motivating factor in the shooting of Ralph Yarl must take place.
Yarl was out to pick up his younger siblings last Thursday night when authorities say he went to the wrong home and mistakenly rang Lester's doorbell. According to court documents, Lester told investigators he had just went to bed when he heard the doorbell and picked up his gun, saying he saw a black man pulling on the storm door handle, adding about the shooting it was the last thing he wanted to do, but said he was scared to death of the teen's size. Lester also says that the two never exchanged words, but Yarl from his hospital bed telling police he never touched the door, saying he was immediately shot in the head and fell to the ground, and then shot again, this time in the arm, saying that Lester then told him, quote, "Don't come around here." The investigation into the shooting of Ralph Yarl comes in the wake of another shooting. 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis was shot and killed after police say she mistakenly pulled into the wrong driveway in upstate New York Saturday night. The homeowner, 65-year-old Kevin Monahan, is charged with murder.
There was actually no interaction between Mr. Monahan and the occupants of any of the vehicles. They had realized they were at the wrong place. They turned around to leave, and that's when the shots were fired.
And as for Ralph Yarl, family members say he is up and able to talk and is expected to make a full recovery.
Before I begin this, make sure if you haven't already, check out the links in the description of this video. Included in those links is an interview with one of Lester's grandchildren, and you'll want to check that out yourself. If you follow me over on TikTok, you probably already saw it. If not, it's over there as well as some articles from breaking news that have happened throughout the day. But the grandson that I brought up, his name is Clint Ludwig. He looks biracial phenotypically. I wasn't able to confirm it by the time we got here. He said he was disgusted by the shooting. He believes that his grandfather holds racist beliefs and believes a lot of conspiracy theories. He wants no excuses afforded to his grandfather. He said what he said. He says that the family stands with Jarl, and for the most part, they do. There is an article, it's over my TikTok page, link in the bio. There is a grandson who's trying to stand by the grandfather, but we'll get to him in a minute. According to Clint Ludwig, Lester watches Fox all day long. He's made racist comments to his grandson regarding Black people. He is a huge QAnon believer. Now, the nephew, Dean Smith, who lives all the way in Virginia. So I don't know how much contact he's had with him. I don't know if he always grew up in Virginia, if he just moved to Virginia as an adult. I don't know. He describes him as a decent man, and he says that his uncle is not racist. Get this. He's not racist because he supervised people of all races. So did the crackers on the plantation. And no, I'm not being derogatory. That's what they called themselves. They gave themselves that name. The overseers, the ones that could crack the whip the best. Now, remember, I've been trying to keep you all updated regarding the Jayland Walker case out of Akron, Ohio. The last official legal update was that the family of Jayland Walker would be filing a civil suit, and they are pushing for a federal investigation into his death by the hands of police officers. Excuse me. On Tuesday, there was no school called for in Akron. There have been protests. Let me show you how Akron police officers who were involved in the death, 8 of them were involved in the deaths, 7 of which were white, in the death of Black man Jayland Walker. This is how the police are handling protest.
Get out the street!
Yet they wonder why non-white people run from them. I wonder why. I wonder why. We have yet another update on the Alabama birthday party shooting. There have been some more arrests. Coming from CBSNews.com, teen brothers among 5 arrested in deadly shooting at Sweet 16 birthday in Alabama. Excuse me. 2 teenage brothers, along with 3 other men, are accused of carrying out a deadly shooting at a Sweet 16 birthday party in Alabama, authorities announced. 4 young people were killed in the shooting late Saturday night at a dance studio in the town of Dadeville, Alabama. The arrest of 19-year-old Willie George Brown Jr. on Thursday brought the total number of people charged to 5. Johnny Latron Brown, 20, was arrested earlier Thursday. On Tuesday, Alabama law enforcement agency officials announced the arrest of brothers identified as Tyreek McCullough, 17, and Travis McCullough, 16, both of Tuskegee. Another man, 20-year-old Wilson Lamar Hill Jr., was arrested Wednesday afternoon, the agency said in a news release. The suspects were each charged with 4 counts of reckless murder, the agency said. District Attorney Mike Segrest, my apologies, said the 2 brothers would be charged as adults. CBS News typically does not name suspects who are minors unless they are being charged as adults with serious crime. Make no mistake, this is Alabama, and when you pull out a gun and you start shooting people, we're going to put you in jail, Burkett said. All of the deceased victims in the mass shooting were under the age of 24. The victims were identified as Marcia Collins, I hope I pronounced that correctly, my apologies, 19, Phil Dowdle, 18, and Phil was a football star who originally got away and came back to rescue his sister, and that is when he lost his life. Corbin Holston, 23, and Shankevia Smith, 17. Yeah. That's not ever something you... But I must also update you all on another shooting that I think a lot of people have forgotten about as well. And this is coming from the Associated Press. Alec Baldwin charged to be dropped in movie set shooting case. Prosecutors in New Mexico plan to drop, and please excuse Puppers. He's acting like he's lost his mind. Prosecutors in New Mexico plan to drop an involuntary manslaughter charge against Alec Baldwin in the fatal 2021 shooting of a cinematographer on the set of the Western film Rust, Baldwin's attorney said Thursday. We are pleased with the decision to dismiss the case against Alec Baldwin, and we encourage a proper investigation into the facts and circumstances of this tragic accident, Baldwin's attorneys Luke Nikes and Alex Spiro said in a statement. My thing is, he was handed a prop, and he thought that the prop was going to work as props do. The unqualified prop master should be charged, and whoever hired said prop master should be charged. Now, before we get into a very, very touchy comparison that unfortunately people are making online, let me give you an update on the McCurtain County case.
New developments out of southeast Oklahoma. The McCurtain County Sheriff and 2 others have been suspended from the Oklahoma Sheriff's Association.
This after recordings of disturbing, even racist remarks were released. News 9's Angelicia Bruton joins us live here in studio. Angelicia, this is a unanimous vote this morning.
Yeah, Colby and Amanda, people in McCurtain County have been calling for resignations since the recordings were released. This morning, Sheriff Kevin Clarity, investigator Alicia Manning, and Trust Administrator Larry Hendricks were all suspended during an emergency meeting of the board members. Now the question is, were the recordings legal or not?
Will folks in our area ever have respect and trust in those guys again?
A local reporter released disturbing recordings between the McCurtain County Sheriff and county officials.
I did everything that I was told to do in order to make sure it was legal. And so I followed their instructions very specifically.
Those recordings,
I know where 2 big deep holes are here, and they can hang them up with the damn rope.
Caused uproar and dismay.
We're asking them to resign. That's what we're here for today.
The sheriff's office says the audio does not match the transcription. He also says this is a violation of an Oklahoma law that says it's illegal to secretly record a conversation in which you are not involved in without the consent of at least one party.
It was still a legal meeting as long as the commissioners were there talking about county business.
Ed Blau, who is not associated with the case, agrees. The records are legal.
There were multiple public officials sitting in this public space having a conversation. The sheriff is not going to be able to make a case for illegal wiretapping or improper recording based on those facts.
Several agencies are investigating this. Blau says although it may be offensive, it's unclear if a crime was committed. As for resignations,
the governor himself doesn't have the power to remove a sitting sheriff. However, the attorney general, through the use of the multi-county grand jury, can remove a sheriff.
All 3 have 60 days to repeal the decision. As of today, the county commissioners have not resigned. In the studio, Angelicia Bruton, Oklahoma's own News 9.
In sheer, pure, bigotous, racist form, they're not apologetic. They're arguing the legality of the recordings. And he's absolutely right. They continued public business without the public. So the public had a right to know what they were saying. But they're arguing the legality, not saying, oh, I didn't say this. And they're like, oh, the transcripts didn't match up to the recording. If you want to hear it for yourself, the link is in the description of this video. Now, there's a full 3-hour video. You can go to the Oklahoman website, which is Yeah. Real quick before we go to this crazy comparison, this trauma comparing that every time tragedies happen back to back, people love to do. Regarding the document leaks case, the suspect in the case has yet to enter a plea. But let's unpack this bullshittery.
When they say woke, they mean black. We've been saying this, but nobody's been listening. This person goes on to spread misinformation. Yes, they were both shot for going to the wrong house, but he goes to say the white girl didn't get any coverage. She was unalive and only raised $89,000. That's not true at all. She got covered by mainstream media, YouTube, podcasts, radio stations. Media wasn't even covering Ralph's situation until after black celebrities kept posting it. He goes on to try to minimize Ralph's injuries and go, the black boy was just injured and got $3 million. Got a White House invitation. I mean, he's still living. 24-hour coverage. No, he didn't. Let me show you how it's not woke. The guy who injured Ralph turned himself in and was released after a few hours. And now he's still being charged with 2 felonies. The guy who unalived Kaylin, he didn't even get bail. Maybe some of y'all aren't Americans, y'all don't know. American debt for medical debt? I was in the hospital for 4 days because of my heart condition. My debt's over $55,000 just for those 4 days. He was in critical condition. I don't know Kaylin, but for y'all to use her to push your racist propaganda is very disrespectful. Y'all not showing that I have any respect for this girl at all. When they say woke, they mean black.
There's another tweet going around where they've added the young cheerleader from Texas and her GoFundMe, and they're making a comparison. But see, this is what I keep telling y'all. Racist and bigots don't pay attention to phenotypes. Now, the young lady from Texas is biracial. I looked it up and confirmed it. She is biracial. But see, let's remove race from everything. Ralph Yarl was the first one to be shot. His GoFundMe has been up for a longer period of time. Yes, he is alive. He has a traumatic brain injury. He will be suffering from the effects of that for the rest of his life. Kaylin's family requested assistance in burying her. Her funeral is tomorrow. The young lady from Texas was just shot. How quickly do they think funds are raised? And I'm pretty sure the young lady from Texas, hers will be close to or exceed Ralph Yarl's because she's alive. And from what I'm hearing, the internal damage is something she's going to have to live with forever. So there will forever be medical bills. Stop trying to compare trauma and act as if black privilege is a thing. It's not. It's just we're now living in a day and age where people can no longer ignore and excuse away to the level that they used to be able to before everybody had the ability to take video in their hand. But social media isn't the only ones making a mockery of trauma and trying to make someone a poster child while their families are grieving and trying to figure out a pathway to their new normal for their loved ones. On the heels, the fresh heels of a settlement that comes sans a public apology, Fox News is at it again. Take a look.
Ralph Yarl, a teenager, a black teenager who was shot after showing up to an elderly man's house in Kansas City. We don't know the details of this. There is much we don't know.
Fox News alert now, case of a Kansas City teenager shot after going to the wrong home to pick up his 2 siblings.
But the White House didn't pause for a moment before drawing conclusions from this sad encounter and using those conclusions to further divide the country on the basis of race.
As the prosecutor, Clay County, I can tell you there was a racial component to the case.
Ralph Yarl, thank heaven, did not die from his injuries. He was just released from the hospital. But these kinds of mistakes do happen, and they're always sad, assuming this was a mistake. Again, we don't know all the details.
Police say Thursday night, Yarl went to the wrong house to pick up his younger twin brothers.
Just the mistake here that was made of going to the wrong house. A terrace versus a circle. They're a block away from each other.
I don't know if the Yarl family or their attorneys will see this. Sue Fox, since it has come out what Lester's ex-wife had to say about him and what the grandson confirmed that he sits and watches Fox News, they know this. I 100% guarantee that if their phone records are subpoenaed, there will be text messages of them describing that they know their rhetoric is becoming dangerous and deadly, but their profitability means more to them. They do not care how many people they put in harm's way. Why? Their children won't be at those schools. It's highly unlikely they will be at these public events that keep getting shot up. And if they are, they always keep a melanated friend with them that I promise you they'll use as a human shield every day that ends in Y. But Fox is not the only ones keeping up with the BS. Marjorie Taylor Greene is at it again. Let us take a look.
Hey, you guys want to see a new video that law schools are going to be shown when they start talking about defamation and libel?
We just finished reviewing the financial records in the Treasury. What I saw was over 2,000 pages of jaw-dropping information. There's basically an enterprise wrapped around Joe Biden involving not only multiple family members, more than we thought there were, but other people as well. Just a complete conglomerate of LLC shell companies where money was passing through from foreign countries, China, Ukraine, but many more countries than just those. There's a lot of information the American people deserve to know of the Biden family and the crimes they've been involved in. And the Oversight Committee has a much bigger investigation to do than we ever thought was possible. I just saw evidence of human trafficking. This involved prostitutes, not only from here in the United States, but foreign countries like Russia and Ukraine. This is unbelievable that a president and a former vice president, not only his son, Hunter Biden, but many more family members extending past Hunter Biden and his immediate family. We're going to have to really get to work. This is an investigation that needs to be revealed to the American people. And not only do we have questions about Hunter Biden himself, but this is going to extend into developing a web of corruption, a web of fake companies that's going to reveal money that came in from many foreign countries and went directly into the personal bank accounts of the Biden family, where they have financially benefited directly from Joe Biden's seats of power. And we look forward to investigating and exposing for this for the American people, and we'll see where it goes from there.
See, this is why I keep telling you guys, we need to stop negotiating with domestic terrorists, okay? I gotta tell you, the point that I realized she was lying is when she said that they reviewed 2,000 documents. We all know she didn't do that. But look, unlike the right, I'll say this. If any of this is true, fuck it, lock them up. I don't give a shit, okay? Because I'm not in a cult. But that said, I got a lot of money that says it's all bullshit. Is now a good time to talk about Clarence Thomas taking bribes for a few decades and not reporting it? No? Okay.
This is a photo of Marjorie Taylor Greene appearing on Russian state TV, where the Kremlin anchors praised her over her conspiratorial rant about President Biden and his family. So, when you have America's #1 foreign adversary praising and gushing over an American congresswoman, you know for certain that that American congresswoman is not working in the best interests of the American people.
The intelligence community is able to figure out immediately who was leaking classified information in a Discord chat, but yet still doesn't want to say whether it came from the lab or didn't come from the lab. Every common sense American that I know pretty much understands where it came from. Came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and doesn't really care if the intelligence community says it did or didn't.
It's important to note that this committee itself cannot have credibility to discuss sensitive intelligence information if members of the majority are going to publicly defend people who continue to leak top secret information, which is in violation of their oaths of office. These members of the committee have defended Jack Teixeira, who has been arrested for leaking classified information. Let's be very clear, just to clarify that, he was no whistleblower. He wasn't telling the truth or trying to serve the public. And all the evidence shows that he has recklessly shared classified information to impress friends in a private chat, of which was also racist memes and jokes. If he is found guilty, he should be held fully accountable under law, and anyone who defended him should be ashamed. And so, again, we want to ensure that if we're going to actually talk about important information, the origins of COVID, we should actually focus on COVID, on the pandemic, and not trying to link this to someone who betrayed our country.
Keep in mind, Marjorie Taylor Greene is still trying to push the top talking points of Trump from his presidency because she's still hopeful that he'll pick her as his vice president. Now, regarding the whole, we reviewed 2000. I think she went in there and painted her nails. Because a document, she's acting like every document on the planet is just a single page. That's not always the case. A document could be several hundred pages. I've reviewed documents specifically for this podcast. And I've told you all, like, I'll read through it, give me a week or give me the whole weekend and come back. And I have tons of notes and there are tons of pages to it. A document does not mean but speaking of that, here's the truth. Here's what they found out.
So Republicans have now admitted to not finding any illegal activity from President Biden. CNN host Pamela Brown asked, have you found anything illegal while Biden was actually in office? And Republican James Comer, someone who's led the investigations into President Biden, said we found a lot that should be illegal. So James, the simple answer is no, you haven't found anything that breaks the law. I mean, these Republicans probably think that Biden putting on sunglasses should be illegal, but it doesn't mean that it is. And this is what we've been saying all along. These investigations into President Biden are total shams, and even now they're acknowledging that.
See, they're willing to waste taxpayer dollars for this pomp and circumstance so that they can tell you, as Kevin McCarthy did recently, that they're working hard for the American people. Right. Sure. Okay. Let's take a pause for a cause. I'll see you in 2 and 2. Enjoy.
Did you hear the latest news about the Menendez brothers today? Now, in case you don't know, the Menendez brothers murdered their parents in cold blood back in the early 90s. Back then, they alleged that their father, Jose Menendez, had sexually molested them, and that is what incited the murder. Now, who is Jose Menendez? Jose Menendez was an extremely successful executive in the music industry in Los Angeles at the time. He also happened to work for RCA Records. What does RCA Records have to do with anything? RCA Records signed Menudo. If you don't know, Menudo was the biggest Latin American band in the early 90s. Ricky Martin got his fame from there, but anyway, that's not what this is about. This is Roy Roseo. Roy Roseo came out in recent weeks and has said that he was also molested by Jose Menendez. Jose Menendez was allegedly obsessed with Menudo, and as an executive at RCA, he had access to, you got it, Roy Roseo. So, is Roy Roseo's accusations of Jose Menendez molesting him enough to get the Menendez brothers out of jail? I guess time will tell.
Now, once again, I'm old enough to remember this. And I remember watching the trial because, y'all know, I love court TV. But the way the media portrayed it was if they were just money-hungry brats that wanted to get their parents out of the way so that they could have an inheritance grab earlier. And a lot of people were like, well, if the father was abusing them, why'd they kill the mother? Because sometimes the partner of the abuser knows the abuse is going on. There was a case recently in the news where a young lady is now serving time because not only did she know that her partner was abusing underage children, she was helping to cover it up, helping to recruit, and participating in the abuse. I'm not saying Mrs. Menendez was, but if you have that much vitriol, you know who knows. As a survivor myself, there are people I don't fuck with to this day because they knew. And every time I try to speak up, they try to deny and give the most ludicrous reasons for denial. Well, this person has this title. This person does this for the community. But let's get into the Disney smackdown on DeSantis, because we need some good news. Let's roll it.
Disney just did it! Breaking gay news for the first time in history. After the governor of Florida threatened to build a state prison next to Disney World because they didn't support the Don't Say Gay bill.
Maybe you need another state prison. Who knows?
Disney will dress all your favorite characters in rainbow because, oh my god.
DeSantis' Florida board just discovered another 11th hour agreement shielding Disney from its oversight. Okay, so this little back and forth is reminding me a lot of a Yu-Gi-Oh duel. Because Disney is like, I'll play my sorcerer Mickey and lay this paperwork face down and end my turn. And DeSantis is like, I'm not worried about your paperwork. You may have stopped my subcommittee with your 11th hour agreement, but it looks like you're all out of 11th hour agreements. So now I'll play Resolution 639. This resolution will give me full superior authority over the zoning, planning, and land use all around Disney theme parks and hotels. You're finished, Disney. You shouldn't have gone against my Don't Say Gay bill. Now you'll pay. And Disney's like, you fool. You fell right into my trap. You've just activated my other 11th hour agreement. And DeSantis is like, Nani, you have another 11th hour agreement? What? And those like shocked, stressed lines flying from his head. And that one big ass bead of sweat on his forehead. I watch a lot of Japanese cartoons when I grew up or growing up. What can I say? It is what it is. But I do think that I did pretty good with the, cartoon voices. What do you think? What do you think?
I think is the perfect way to describe the smackdown on DeSantis. The Disney diss track on DeSantis. I'm here for it. I am so here for it. Now, that's not the only DeSantis news. Y'all should know me better than that. And, you know, DeSantis and other members of the GOP, especially the ultra MAGAs, keep telling y'all it's smoke and mirrors. It's distraction. They're telling you to look over there when the problem is. But a DeSantis buddy, well, he was part of the problem, but looks like he's swimming in lava. Take a look.
Holy shit. Are you telling me Ron DeSantis was hanging out with a child predator? Are you telling me that a Ron DeSantis ally and a GOP donor, Kent Sturman, unalived himself shortly after the father of a minor he tried to exploit turned down a 5-figure hush money deal? Oh well, saved money on a trial. Bye!
That wasn't a drag queen. That wasn't a member of the LGBTQIA+ community. That wasn't a liberal. It's almost like they're just selling you sound bites for your confirmation bias, instead of making the world a better place for these children that you want to be forced to be born, and for everybody to be happy and have this utopia that the United States is, you know, marketed as. But there's more DeSantis news. Buckle up, Buttercup. This is going to be a long one. Hope you have a beverage and a snack.
Man, DeSantis is really not having a very good week. Representative Lance Gooden, I don't know how to pronounce that, had a meeting today with DeSantis, and he said after careful consideration and a positive meeting with Governor DeSantis, I have decided to endorse President Donald Trump for 2024. How incredibly embarrassing, and what a jab. How much you want to bet Trump sent him in there to do that and then told him to tweet this out of like loyalty? Chris Christie and some of his other like potential presidential opponents have also came after him. I believe the governor of New Hampshire as well have come after him this week, criticizing how he's dealing with Disney, basically calling him a fascist. Basically saying that he's trying to control a company because they disagree with him on something, and that's not the Republican way. They were even saying that they don't think he's a true conservative. This is also intriguing. Laura Loomer is on a warpath against DeSantis, and she has been for like a couple weeks now. And she has done all this research and says that he's hosting dinners at the governor's mansion, which is in violation of Florida law. Between the Trump camp, like the Looney Loomers, and the Mighty Mouse, he might have some problems.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis held a press conference yesterday when he was asked about, hey, remember how Disney got the best of you? Well, that wasn't exactly what the reporter said, but they brought up Disney and how Disney, of course, did get the best of Ron DeSantis by passing that resolution that basically gave them all the power over the district until 21 years after the last heir of the King of England dies. And Ron DeSantis is still pretty pissed about that. So Ron DeSantis let reporters know that one of the plans he's kicking around in that big old head of his is to possibly build a prison next to Disney World to kind of show them what's up. Here's what Ron DeSantis said. So if you look at this whole special district, well, Disney Corporation obviously owns a lot of it, but the district owns other land. And, you know, quite frankly, I wasn't even thinking about that land. Oh, but come to think of it, now people are like, well, what should we do with this land? And so, you know, it's like, okay, kids, I mean, people have said, you know, maybe have another, maybe create a state park, maybe try to do more amusement parks. Someone even said, like, maybe you need another state prison. Who knows? I mean, I just think that the possibilities are endless. So he's not saying he's going to build a prison, but somebody suggested maybe he could, and he's like, I don't know, maybe. Now, let me go ahead and explain the land issue down there in Disney. For anybody who has never been to Walt Disney World or Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom down in Central Florida, there's a lot of land. And when Disney was buying up all that land decades ago, before, they'd even started construction on the park, they did it through various subsidiaries so that no one would see it was one company buying up all of the land. But they bought up all of the inclusive land. So all of that land, and we're talking about God knows how many square miles, all of it is connected. So it's not like Disney owns a park and then there's a lot of city or state-owned land around it. No. Because Disney's all about the aesthetics of things. They want to make sure that you can only see what Disney wants you to see. Why I'm bringing that up is, okay, let's assume for a second DeSantis follows through with his plan to go build a prison near Disney. Okay, that's not going to affect Disney at all. It's going to be so far out of the way, it would literally be miles and miles and miles away from the closest park or hotel. It would be completely out of sight unless you built it as tall as a skyscraper, at which point it would violate building codes for the area and would have to be torn down. So even if Ron DeSantis wanted to do this, he also couldn't do it in any way that's going to actually punish Disney. But that's beside the point. The point is, Fort Lauderdale is still underwater. Now, I have seen Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg giving the public updates on the situation in Fort Lauderdale, because they had to close their airport for a period of time, and Buttigieg has been doing a good job, to his credit, of keeping people informed about that. And Ron DeSantis, rather than worrying about his people drowning, worrying about the destruction to infrastructure, is out there still pissing and moaning that friggin' Mickey Mouse got the best of him. This is not a serious man. This is not a man with actual solutions to any real problems down here in Florida. He is a petty, authoritarian, wannabe dictator that is going to do whatever he wants to do in that little district to stick it to Mickey. And the state is dying. I mean, during COVID, we were literally dying. Which, by the way, COVID is not over. I don't know why I said during COVID, because COVID is now a thing we just have to live with because nobody apparently cares anymore. But DeSantis' actions, if we had a functioning government anywhere in this country, DeSantis would have been removed from power. DeSantis would have been prosecuted for abuse of power. But instead, he's heralded by Republicans. They love him down here in Florida. This is what it is. They love that authoritarianism. They crave the subjugation that Ron DeSantis is subjecting them to. That's what they want. That's what they voted for. And that's why Florida may be a lost cause at this point.
And if you don't believe that Florida is a lost cause, if you were outraged when so many people lost their lives in Texas, and Rafael Ted Cruz went to Cancun, keep that same energy.
Several gas stations across Broward and Miami-Dade.
There's no gas here. I went everywhere. Everywhere. There was nothing.
Gas hunters like Paul Soto.
Fill up or be stuck.
Drove Sky 10 spotted from the sky. Long lines.
The one by my house right here on Johnson Street, the Chevron, that had like a line like if they were giving away free gas. No more gas.
And these are for the people whose cars were not destroyed when most of Florida was pretty much underwater. And if you don't think that Ron DeSantis and the GOP don't have an agenda and that they're just trying to convince you, especially if you're a marginalized individual, most notably if you have melanin, that they just want your vote, but they don't view you as human, take a good hard look at this. If you don't share any other part of this podcast tonight, share this part.
And the first line under for no valid driver's license said, if no criminal history, diversion. Right under that, it said, if limited criminal history, withhold and costs. And the last line said, if extensive criminal history and or Hispanic, adjudicated guilty and costs.
That was Jefferson County's Florida prosecutors' racism policy. That was Republican prosecutors' racism policy. If you are in Florida and you are of brown skin, if you consider yourself Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexicano, understand while they get you to vote for them by saying that Democrats are communists or socialists, they privately have plans to put you in prison. They stereotype you. They prosecute you harsher. And this is Republican policy, not Democratic policy. Republicans are not your friends. They're just convincing you to vote for them. They will put you on the chopping block the minute they need to.
And I don't know how many, excuse me, more times, historically and presently, they have to prove this to you before you get it. But to further drive home the point, Trump is out here campaigning by cosplaying Hitler.
Donald Trump called for internment camps today.
Ban urban camping wherever possible. Violators of these bans will be arrested, but they will be given the option to accept treatment and services if they're willing to be rehabilitated. Many of them don't want that. We will then open up large parcels of inexpensive land, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, and drug rehab specialists, and create 10 cities where the homeless can be relocated and their problems identified.
So no rent controls, no housing regulations, no policies or laws that are put into place so that cities have to take care of their citizens, no expansion of healthcare benefits or mental health services, no increased funding to food banks, no increased benefits or access to programs like SNAP or Access or some kind of welfare program to make sure that kids are eating. It's easier to forcibly destroy someone's home, someone's safety, and put 4.2 million children either in jail or an internment camp. When I look at Trump or any of his sycophants, and that includes most of the Republican politicians, I see these like empty shells that are forced to fill their souls with something, and the only thing that they can grasp is evil acts. I don't know how to end this video, but man, Republicans love this, by the way.
I also want you all to really ask yourself and dig deep. Why have you been conditioned and indoctrinated to hate homeless people? Given that the way the United States is set up, the vast majority of the population is one check away. 1 or 2 missed days of work away from being homeless. But as Trump is cosplaying Hitler, the grift hasn't stopped. A grifter gonna keep on grifting.
Donald Trump went on Instagram for the first time in 2 years. Yeah, you see that. I just find it's hilarious. But I don't understand why, because he has his Dollar Tree Twitter, the Truth Social. Yeah, he goes on there with his big rants and everything in all caps because he's mad and he likes to tell on himself there all the time. Now, full disclosure, I rely on other people for Donald Trump's True Social. I don't partake in that. Just like I'm sticking to this month of April, I have not logged into Facebook one time. Yep. But you can get your own NFT for free, and I'll tell you how. Here you go, Mega. Just take a screenshot real quick. Yeah. You got it? Then you can crop it, and then, you have your own for free. I mean, for fuck's sakes. It's always about the grift, right? It is. Oh, Jesus. But gas, but groceries. They're so expensive. But here, buy my NFTs.
You're never going to believe who came out with a second series of digital trading cards. Just kidding, you already know it's Donald Trump. After announcing a second series of digital trading cards would be released, the cards from Series 1 dropped by an average of 44% in value. The playing card. Oh, Trump Springsteen? What is that? We'll come back to this one. Oh, Potomac Trump. A few of my favorites. Here you see Donald Trump wearing American flag chaps, riding a motorcycle and playing the electric guitar at the same time. This man has no shame. Okay, but I have so many questions about this. So it's Donald Trump standing behind a lion that is pouncing on Earth. This lion is wearing a 45 crown, but the lion's head, front paws and tail are on fire? I think this is what his supporters meant when they said Donald Trump is playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. But don't worry, if you're a faithful supporter and you buy 47 of those, yes, 47 because Donald Trump is running to become the 47th president, guess what you're going to get? Apparently, if you buy 47 digital trading cards, which is over $4,600, Donald Trump is promising to have a dinner with you. But as the article notes, Trump has a long history of teasing potential small dollar donors with similar meals and then not appearing to deliver. And for all you Trump supporters, if you don't buy those 47 digital trading cards quickly, your dinner with Trump is going to have to be a conjugal visit.
Yeah, let's remember the last time he rolled out NFT trading cards. Did anybody ever win that meet and greet, that dinner? Because I'm pretty sure the dinner is going to be McDonald's that somebody else pays for. Probably you. Now, just to let you all know, there will be a bonus episode tomorrow afternoon. Because there's so much going on and so much to catch up on. And I feel so bad just keeping y'all here for hour after hour after hour. But thank y'all for riding this out with me. But let's get into these Jonathan Majors updates. Baby, it breaks my heart, but the truth is what the truth is. Let's go. Let's keep digging.
Y'all, the dominoes have been dominating in the last 24 hours. We literally heard yesterday that Jonathan Majors was allegedly dropped by his management and PR team. Now today we're finding out he's being dropped from multiple projects, including a unannounced Otis Redding biopic, a feature adaptation of The Man in My Basement. I think it was either directed or going to be produced by Spike Lee. And there's an alleged ad campaign that he did with the Texas Rangers baseball team that is officially been pulled. In addition to that, we're now finding out that he had a deal with Valentino, but they have since parted ways and he will no longer be attending the Met Gala. This is really bad. He has so much planned, he just had to screw it up. At this point, everyone's waiting for Marvel to make a move because yesterday, there was some talks of rumors that they haven't made a decision yet, but now you're having all of this happening so quickly. It appears we could know something by the end of the week. Probably not. I know Marvel's focused on Guardians 3 releasing, but they have to do something because Kang is featured in Loki 2, season 2. And that's what's coming out in August. Is that going to get pushed back? Or are they going to have to reshoot? There's too many questions. Okay, so this came out while I was out tonight. Every day, it is a new thing. This has been reported in Variety and Deadline. There are multiple sources familiar with the whole situation that are saying that multiple alleged victims of Jonathan Majors are coming forward and are cooperating with the Manhattan District Attorney. We are past the point of no return. There is a reason why he was dropped by his management and PR on Monday. They knew what was coming, and it was this. There's a reason why he was dropped from all those projects and his campaigns were shelved because of this. There's a reason why Valentino decided to part ways and he will no longer be attending the Met Gala because of this. And I knew in the back of my mind, there's going to be more that comes out. There's going to be another one. I didn't know how many more. I don't know how many more are cooperating with the DA, but this is going to get very, very messy. Safe to say that his career is pretty much done. And Marvel is pretty much back into a corner at this point because they can't wait this out anymore.
Now, when things originally came out, I wrote a blog. I can't even say it was loosely about him. It was more about internet rumors and accusations, but I put it out there. Will I be deleting it? No. Right, wrong, like I tell y'all, it's going to stand. You criticize me, correct me. I'm here for it. Once I was made privy, I'm kind of torn here. I believe that the PR team did some good work here. Let me explain to you what I mean. Because for a short period of time, I worked in PR just on a local, regional level, nothing national, nothing international. Let me be clear. I've had some scandals that I've had to deal with. I've had some things that should have been scandals that the ancestors were looking out for me and pointed me in the right direction, and we were able to just squash things. But it was people not understanding the internet at that time, and that the internet is forever. And yeah, you may have been joking around with your friends, or you might have thought this was sexy and sensual and forgot that you're trying to build a career. And maybe you shouldn't have made that film with your girlfriend to put out, because that wasn't the best way to get PR. You catch what I'm putting down? But when the text messages were released, as an abuse survivor, I kind of felt like the writing was on the wall that the PR team was going to remove themselves, but it kind of felt like the PR team wanted to leave no crumbs. They wanted to leave no doubts. They did not want a certain pattern of behavior going forward. I didn't say it initially because I wanted things to sit and simmer on me, because I realized, being a survivor, I can be overly sensitive to things, which can cause me to misread situations at times. Not often, but at times. In those times, those people do not deserve my misread of a situation. But those text messages, and so many people were confused, like, why would his PR team put this out? This makes him look worse. See, when people say that art doesn't imitate life, yes, it does. Because when you all watch these dramatic series, like, let me use Law and Order SVU as an example, and you see things where an attorney will have a slip up, or a police officer will have a slip up to an attorney or on the stand. It's because they know that they're bound by certain contracts, certain codes, but they know what's right and what's wrong on these shows, and it's happened in real life, in order for them to incorporate it into the art. Now, can two things be true at one time? Can somebody make a false accusation and that false accusation uncover true occurrences? Yes. Can an accusation be 100% true and other occurrences be false? Yes. I don't want to hear about the whataboutisms, the theories. And as always, we're going to watch this progress. We are going to watch this progress. Like I said, there will be a bonus episode tomorrow. And as always, make sure you check out the links in the description of this video, and make sure you check out the links in my link tree. And if you're not following me over on TikTok, make sure that you do, especially if you're interested in Black history and if you're going through a change, whether you have internalized racism or you have been raised around and indoctrinated into racism and you want to get out of that. Follow my anti-racism journey. Unfortunately, I am below the threshold to have playlists, but each and every one of them is marked in pink subscript that says anti-racism journey. Excuse me, that makes them all very easy to pinpoint on my page. So come on through and go through the material with us. But with that, I'm going to leave you with something in celebration of Carol Burnett's 90th birthday. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
It started because my grandmother wanted me to say hello to her when I was on television. I said, Nanny, I don't think they're going to let me say hi, Nanny. So we cooked this up to pull my ear, which meant, hi, Nanny, I love you, and I'm fine. It just became a thing. And after a while, people started asking, because at first they thought it was an accident or that I was just itchy in my lobe, And then, but every week I would do it. And so people noticed and they asked, and then I explained it.